tomorrow. There's a few little extra guess and check notes before we work the review problem in preparation for the quiz on Friday. And these problems they're not harder, they're just a little more complex. And the thing is, it makes them a little bit more complex is when the trinomial starts with a number that's not prime. So it's when this number right here, the coefficient of x squared, is not prime. If you went back and looked at your 6.2, you would have found that all of those values were prime numbers. It just makes it a little less complex. It's not really hard. You just have a little bit more to write down. So I've got several examples to work through, and I'll show you what you have to do a little bit differently. And so, when we start our guess and check, we are always trying to set up the correct structure. So 2 sets of parentheses, and my signs for this problem are 2 minuses. Get that part right. And then these 2 numbers right here, these 2 have to give us 4x squared. When we worked the other problems, there was only one way to start that. For these problems, there's 2 ways to start it. There's 2 ways to get 4. We can either say 2x times 2x. I'm going to skip a good little space here. Or we can say 4x times 1x. And these are both correct ways to start this problem. There's no particular trick to knowing which one of these is right. Only one of them will work. There's not an answer for both of them. You just have to find which one of these will work. Now, when I give you these in Algebra 1, I usually make it so you don't have that many guesses here. Our guesses goes along with this 3, and our only guess is 3 and 1. We don't have to switch this around because these 2 are the same. It won't matter if we switch them around. Okay, so I'm going to guess the 3 and the 1. And I get here negative 6x, and I get here negative 2x, which is negative 8x, and so that's not right. Doesn't work. So since 2 times 2 did not work for my start guess, I'm going to slip over here to the other side and make the same guesses over here. Now, for this one, I've got to guess 3 and 1, but I might also have to guess 1 and 3, and that's because the 4 and the 1 are not the same number. So it doesn't matter which one you start with. Sometimes we just get lucky and pick the right one. I'll start with 3 and 1. Let's see what happens. Negative 3x, negative 4x, gives me negative 7x, and I got it right the first time. It was this one, and this is our answer. So what we're looking at here is just more than one way to start our guess and check, and understanding where that starting guess comes from. Okay? Example 2, again, we're going to start with 4x. So I'm going to write my 2 possibilities down. 2x, 2x, or 4x, 1x. I don't know which one is going to work. I'm going to get my signs. Again, they're both minuses. And then I'm going to make my list for my 3. For this one, it's just 3 and 1. But for this one, I ran out of room. I'll put it up here. For this one, it's 3 and 1 or 1 and 3. And once again, the reason you don't have to switch them here is because this 2x and this 2x are exactly the same thing. And you have to switch them over here because these 2, 4x and 1x, are different. Okay, I'm just going to start. There's no way of looking at this and knowing which one of these is the right one. As soon as you get the right answer, you get to quit. So I'm going to start with 2x and 2x, and I'll try the 3 and the 1. That gives me negative 6x, negative 2x, negative 8x. So I got it on the first guess. I don't have to go check the other one. So what I want you to get from this is that there is no way of looking at this and telling whether you should have tried the 2x and the 2x or tried the 4x and the 1x. Sometimes it's one of them, sometimes it's the other one. And there's no trick to it. You just have to jump in and start guessing. All right, let's try a couple of other examples. All right, this one doesn't start with 4x squared. It starts with 9x squared. So the 2 ways to start this problem are 3x, 3x. I'm going to leave a little bit of room so I can make my list for my 4 here. 9x, 1x. And I don't have any idea which one's right. No clue. All right? Go back and put in your signs. Everything's plus in the original problem, so everything's going to be plus in our answer. And then make your list. For 4, you can have 4 and 1. Again, you don't have to switch the 4 and the 1 because these are both 3x's because they're the same thing. But we do have the possibility of 2 and 2. For the second one, for 9x and 1x, it could be 4 and 1, 1 and 4. You have to switch them because the 9 and the 1 are not the same number. And again, we have to have 2 and 2, which you don't have to turn around because they're the same thing. When you get to these problems, you get to pick which one you want to guess first. And there's no, I don't have any shortcuts for you. I wish I did. There's no shortcuts. I'm just going to try, the 2 and the 2 first. Right here, see if it works. And I get 6x, and I get 6x, and 6 plus 6 is 12, and I want 15. So the 2 and the 2 is not right. I encourage you to cross them out or put an X beside them, some indication, because then you're going to erase, and then sometimes it's easy to lose track of what you've actually done. And I'm going to go ahead and try the 4 and the 1 next, which is 12x. And 3x, and I got it on my second guess, 15x, and this is the right answer. Once you find the answer, you don't need to go and check over here. None of these will work. If they worked on the first one, they're not going to work on the second one. If you can't find the answer of the first one, then you switch and try the second one. Okay? All right, example 4, we're starting with 10x squared. So our two starting possibilities, what times what gives you 10. So we could try 2x and 5x. Or over here we can try 10x and 1x. If I leave my list. Okay, so my list for 2 is 2 and 1 and 1 and 2, and that's the same for both of them. This time I have to switch it on both lists because my front pair here, 2 times 5, 2 and 5 are not the same number. All right, the signs this time, remember when the last term is negative, when that's a negative, you're going to try a plus and a minus. It might be minus plus, but if it is, that will show up in the middle of the problem. We don't have to worry about which one it is right now. We can just try the plus and the minus and see if it works. All right? I'm going to start with 2 and the 1. Just going to go with an organized fashion. 10x minus 2x gives me 8x, and I don't want 8x, I want negative 1x, so it's not 2 and 1. Okay? And then you erase. And I'm going to try the 1 and the 2, 5x minus 4x, and 5x minus 4x is 1x. This is a case of we're almost there. We've got the right number. We want it to be a 1x, but instead of being times in 1, we want it to be a negative 1. So remember when you have the right number but the wrong sign, then all you do is go back and change the signs. Okay? So what we're going to do is take this plus out. Take it right out of there and change it to a minus. And this minus here, we're going to change to a plus. So look at what that does. That turns this one, let's switch to green here. That turns this one from 5x to negative 5x. And this one from negative 4x to positive 4x. And we now have the right number. And there's our answer. And again, if you get it for the first side, then you do not have to try this side over here. None of them will work. If you try them, they're not going to give you the answer. Okay? All right, one more. Let's try one more here. The two different ways to get 6 are going to be 2x and 3x. And I'm going to have to make a list for 5 there. My other possibility is 6x and 1x. And I'm going to have to make the list for 5 there. Again, because the front two guesses are not the exact same number, 2 times 3 and 6 times 1, we have to switch those out. The sign, this is a minus 5 at the end, so I need 1 plus and 1 minus. When you get to these problems, you can pick where you want to start. There is no real shortcut for this. You just have to jump in and try it. Okay? So I'm just going to start with the 5 and the 1. I'm going to do it without the little lines this time. 15x. Well, actually, I like the lines. And then 2 times negative 1 is negative 2x, and that's going to give me 13, which is not right. So I'm going to cross that out. I'm going to erase.
Try again. I'm going to try the 1 and the 5, which gives me a 3x and a minus 10x, and that's negative 7. That's still not right. So this time, my 2 times 3 didn't work, so this one does not work. I'm going to skip over to the other one and try it. I'll try the 5 and the 1, just going in an organized fashion. 5x minus 6x is negative 1x. I want 29, and that's not going to be right, so I'm going to erase. I'm going to mark that I did that one, and then I'm going to do 1 and 5, which I hope is right since it's my last guess. 1 and 5. This is a plus 1, and I'll erase that. So when I go to guess the 1 and the 5, I get a 1x, and 6 times negative 5 is negative 30x, and that's negative 29x. There's my 29. That's the number I want. However, I want it to be positive, and this sometimes you'll get the right sign, and sometimes you won't. If you get the wrong sign, you just go up here, take that plus out, take it right out. And apparently, I'm going to take a lot of things out. You're going to take that plus out and change it into a minus. Take this minus, change it into a plus, and all of those will work out, and you'll end up with a 29x, and here's your right answer. Okay? All right, I'm going to look ahead at this homework. This is just a general review of all of your guess and check. So what we're going to do right now, grab a highlighter, and I want you to go through and note the ones where the first number's not prime. Just highlight them. I'm going to do that with my green marker. And they're the ones where you've got a few more guesses, and you might need some extra space. There might not be enough room on the worksheet for those problems. So looks like I went down the page instead of across this time. 1 and 2, that's prime. There's only one way to start those problems. That's prime. This one has a 9. So this is one that's got 2 ways to start that problem, like the notes that I just gave you at the beginning of class, beginning of this worksheet. 4 has a 1, and 5 has a 3, so they've only got one way to start it. The second column, I think everything in the second column is prime. That's a 1, and a 5, and a 3, and a 1, and a 2. So all of those have only got one way to start the guess, one way. Problem number 3 has 2 ways to start the guess. So when you get ready to start number 3, you might need a little bit of extra room, because it might be 3 and 3, and it might be 9 and 1. Whereas if you're doing number 8, just to get started here, the only way you can start that is with 3 and 1. Okay? All right, on the second page, there's a few more. So look through them. Which ones have the possibility of having extra guesses because the first number, that leading coefficient, is not prime? It looks like 16, 17, 18, 19, oh, looks like I put all the ones towards the end, 20, and then back over here to 15. So most of the early ones have only got one guess, and then the ones towards the end have a possibility of 2 guesses. All right, your homework on this is to do all of these guess and check problems. There's also a review of GCF, greatest common factor. Go back and look at 6.2, 6.1 for that. And then go back and look at factoring by difference of 2 squares, which was 6.3.